Hello, my sweet firsties. I hope you've had a Merry Christmas Eve. We've had a fun day here just hanging out with all the kids. We've been making Christmas cookies for Santa, putting on little Christmas plays ourselves, singing songs, all kind of fun stuff. So I wanted to give you guys a little bedtime story, and hopefully I'll catch you before you get in bed. I'm already ready in my jammies tonight, getting ready to get tucked in for Santa to come. I'm so excited. I know y'all are too. Santa is coming to Georgia. I wanted to read y'all a little story. Well, boomed Santa, have all the children from Georgia been good this year? Well, mostly, answered the little old elf as he bustled across the busy workshop to Santa's desk. Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering piles of letters that the children of Georgia had sent him. I bet that's all of you guys, because we live in Georgia. Mostly, asked Santa, looking over the top of his glasses. Yes, but they've all been especially good in the last few days, said the elf. Jolly good, chuckled Santa. Then we better get their presents loaded up. Even though the sack of presents was really, really big and the elves were really, really small, they seemed to have no trouble loading it onto Santa's sleigh. Though how they managed to fit such a big sack into one little sleigh, even they didn't know. But somehow, they did. Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go. Not quite, Santa, said the little old elf. One of our reindeer is missing. Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa. The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It's his first flight tonight. I've called him and called him, but just then a young reindeer strolled up munching on a large carrot. Where have you been? Asked Santa. But the youngest reindeer was crunching so loudly that it was no wonder he hadn't heard the little old elf calling. Oh, well, never mind, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out a Santa nav and tapped in the coordinates for Georgia. This will guide us to Georgia in no time. Crunch, crunch, crunch. That reindeer's just eating his carrot. With a flick of the reins and a jerk of the harness, off they went, racing through the sky. Ho, 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 laughed Santa. We'll soon have these presents delivered to the Peach State. That's a nickname for Georgia. Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south across the Arctic Ocean. On they flew in the crisp, wintry air, crossing over Canada. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh was flying above the Great Lakes and on over the Appalachian Mountains. The youngest reindeer was very excited. He had never been away from the North Pole before. They're heading this way. They were just nearing the Blue Ridge Mountains when suddenly they ran into a thick fog. Mist swirled around the sleigh. They couldn't see a thing. The youngest reindeer was getting a bit worried, but Santa didn't seem concerned. In 2 miles, said the Santa nav in a bossy lady's voice. Keep left at the next star. But ma'am, Santa blustered, I can't see any stars in all this fog. Soon they were hopelessly lost. Then, through the foggy blanket, the youngest reindeer heard a faint ringing sound. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. He looked over at the old reindeer with the big red nose, but he had his head down. Red nose? I wonder who that could be. Who do y'all think it is? Rudolph? Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. There was that sound again, like church bells ringing. The youngest reindeer turned around to look at Santa, but Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with a little box with buttons on it. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and headed off toward the sound of the bells, pulling Santa and his sleigh behind him. I wonder what that is. Whoa, cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. What's going on? Then, to his surprise, he heard the ringing sound. Well done, young reindeer, he shouted cheerfully. It must be the Cathedral of St. Philip's in Atlanta. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming. Then suddenly, crunch! The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the fog. You have arrived, said the Santa nav unhelpfully. Finally, when the fog had lifted, Santa discovered exactly where they were, stuck right at the very top of the Georgia State Capitol. That's in Atlanta. Have y'all ever seen that before? Everybody, pull! The reindeer pulled with all their might until at last, with a screeching noise, The sleigh scraped clear of the dome, and the Santa steered them safely past the World of Coca-Cola, along Marietta Street, and down into Centennial Olympic Park. Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages had all been jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted their presents into order again. "All right," said Santa. "Thanks to this young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming." Santa drove his sleigh expertly from rooftop to rooftop all over Georgia, popping in and out of the chimneys as fast as he could go, which was pretty fast for a chubby little fella. There were big chimneys in Thomasville and small chimneys in Athens. He squeezed down thin chimneys in Gainesville and plummeted down fat chimneys in Statesboro. The youngest reindeer was amazed how quickly they went. Santa never seemed to get tired at all, and it looked like the children in Georgia were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary and quite hungry too. In house after house, Santa delved inside a sack for packages of every shape and size. He piled them under the Christmas trees and carefully filled up the stockings with surprises. In house after house, the good children of Georgia had left out a plate of cookies, a small glass of milk, and a big crunchy carrot. Santa took a little bite out of each cookie, a tiny sip of milk, wiped his beard, and popped the carrots into his sack. He took them for the reindeer. From Savannah to Decatur, from Augusta to Albany, from Macon to Marietta, and all the places in between, Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Georgia. Santa delivered presents to Andrew, Allison, Anna, Arabelle, Archie, Ashley. The list went on and on. Zach, Zara, Zeb, Zoe, Zibble. Zibble? That must be a spelling mistake, surely. Finally, Santa had delivered the last present on his long Georgia list. "Great moons and stars," sighed Santa. "It's past midnight, and my sack seems as heavy as ever. I hope I haven't forgot anyone." Santa opened his sack to check, but it was full of juicy, crunchy carrots. Santa divided the carrots among all the reindeer. "Well done," he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. But the youngest reindeer didn't hear him. He was too busy munching. Then it was time to set off for home. Santa reset his Santa nav once more to the North Pole, and soon they were speeding across the Chattahoochee River, over Peachtree Street, and out over Stone Mountain Park through the crisp, starry night. "Ho, ho, ho," laughed Santa. "Merry Christmas, Georgia." I thought that was a fun story that it talked about where we were from. And they didn't mention Villarica, but it was pretty close to some of those places like Marietta and all of those things. I am going to quickly read you 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and then I'm going to say goodnight so y'all can get tucked into bed. The night before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and I was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. a bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. They're saying there's nothing to be afraid of. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and he filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." I hope y'all have the best day tomorrow. I hope you have sweet, sweet dreams tonight. I can't wait to hear all about your Christmas and your time with your family. If you'd love to send me a picture tomorrow, I'd love to see you guys. I want to say good night, and I'll see you soon. Love y'all.